North Node.
The easiest way that I describe motivation and inspiration is the pull and motivation is the push.
Yeah.
So, in a moment in which a team has lost sight of like the why, that is when you need inspiration, is when you need the pull.
Yeah.
When they're pretty clear on what the why and they can see the top of the mountain, but they're like stuck in the mud, that's when you need some motivation. That's when you need a little bit of push,
Yeah.
right? But they work in tandem because we know by definition, inspiration is fleeting.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna get it's why so many like I call it sparking greatness. It's a spark, it's a lightning bolt, it's a firework, like it's this like beautiful flash where everything you get this level of clarity and you're like, oh, okay. I think it's a connection to your higher self and like your higher purpose. Like you get these flashes of it. And then you need the motivation to like, once you've seen it and the sky goes dark again, motivation is what lights you up to help get you back to what you saw.
Yes. Hi, I'm Paige Nolan. Welcome to I'll Meet You There, a place where heart-centered conversations are everything. Living what matters is the truest thing, and sharing the journey is the best. Hi, everyone, and welcome back. Today, my guest is a dear friend, Danielle Baldwin. I'm so excited to have her here to talk about this topic that's really important to her. So important, in fact, that she decided to write a book about it. And it's also a topic that interests me because I feel like it's important to all of us in a way that we don't often realize. The topic is inspiration. Danielle Baldwin is an executive coach and the author of a new book entitled Sparking Greatness: Harnessing the Power of Inspiration to Lead Boldly and Live Fully. Danielle and I went to college together. We share a lot of funny and now fuzzy memories of those days. After college, we've bonded over our shared love for creative writing. And now, in our more recent years, we also share a career path in coaching. Danielle started her career in the corporate world, earned her MBA, and then took a leap to pursue executive coaching 10 years ago. Since 2018, Danielle has been certified as a Vistage chair, launching and leading CEOs and peer group work. Vistage is a membership community of CEOs, business owners, and executives. So you'll hear Danielle often refer to members in this episode, and these are the leaders she's been coaching in both group settings and individually. Danielle was writing fiction when the idea of harnessing inspiration became compelling to her, and that's where we start our conversation. We talk about why the spark of inspiration matters, and it matters a lot. We talk about the conditions that invite inspiration into our lives. Danielle offers us specific and practical ways to create these conditions. We also talk about the difference between inspiration and motivation, the difference between overwhelm and burnout, and how we can stay out of both of those states. And we talk about how to notice what inspires you and how important it is to notice what inspires you. It's a gift of clarity and purpose. Danielle offers us a very particular kind of discipline that she talks about towards the end of our conversation that's really useful when you're seeking to change. And it's actually a wonderful way to apply some of these ideas about inspiration. If you're a person who has ever thought you have to wait to be inspired and it's a passive feeling that is out of your control, this episode will change your mind. Enjoy my conversation with Danielle Baldwin. So give us a little context and backdrop about you getting into coaching and finding yourself in the position to even have this curiosity and then a really studied reflection about inspiration.
Excellent. So executive coaching was accidental.
Okay.
I feel like everything in life is like,
Yeah.
oh, just kidding. Haha. Look what you're gonna do. Hey.
Yeah.
So I was working like
Yeah.
corporate Danielle, right? Worked in telecom on a strategy team. My team was in Atlanta. I
Yeah.
live in San Diego. I was commuting and everything was breaking.
Okay.
So work was breaking. I was on a team I did not like. We were working on a project, like
Yeah.
work was bad. My marriage was falling apart.
Yeah.
My body was falling apart. So, and I didn't want to let go of any of it.
Yeah.
And so the way that the world works or the universe works is when you are holding on too tightly to something, the universe will push you out of the plane.
Yeah.
Just out you go, sis.
Yeah.
And in the moment, it is you have a moment of exhilaration and then many moments of terror. And so I found myself all of the labels that I had used to define myself, which were wife of,
Yeah.
executive at, like all of these things no longer applied.
Yeah.
And I got to pick who I wanted to be again. And my favorite part of being an executive was working with my people and developing them.
Yeah.
So I started doing like a little bit of executive coaching on the side. And then somebody came to me and said, "Have you heard of this company called Vistage?" And I was like, "No, no, I'm good."
Never heard of
And
it.
then I don't know. And they knew me, right, well enough to know.
Yeah.
So I've been writing for a really long time. And it's very important to me, and that is one of the ways that we bond deeply.
Yes.
Yes.
Love it.
And, somebody had the presence of mind to say, "Oh, it's like a read and critique group, except it's for CEOs and business owners." And I was like, "Oh, well."
Yeah, what an intriguing tagline for you.
Totally. I was
Yeah.
like, "Oh, well, I know how read and critique groups have, like, wildly informed my work over time." So,
Yeah.
that's how I got into coaching. And then how the book came about was also by accident. So I was happily working on a fiction project. Think
Yes.
like, Three Billboards meets Crash, centered around the question of the questions that fail us. So it's this like awesome fiction project. I'm like, yes,
Yes.
yes.
Yeah.
And I was in a one-to-one with one of my members.
Yeah.
It's the middle of pandemic. It was July. So everybody's still at their kitchen table. We're
Totally.
still trying to like figure all this stuff out. So he tells me this story and he's like, he's like, "I did skip levels with all my employees." So I had them meet with their direct manager. And we asked them these three questions like, do you understand your role? Do you understand where the company is headed? And like, how are you feeling?
Yeah.
And he
Yeah.
was like, so to a person, they answered yes, yes, and motivated. And I was like, I got you, dude. Like, where are we
Yeah.
going? And he's like, so then I sat down with all the employees and we went through a one-to-one and I asked them the same three questions and they answered yes, yes. And then they said inspired.
Yeah.
And I was like, huh. He's like, so why would that be? And I'm like, huh, I'm not quite sure. And then he was like, well, what is inspiration anyway? And I was like, what?
Night night fiction.
Totally, totally. Goodbye.
Did you do
Because
that?
it is.
Did you put the fiction aside?
Oh, girl, I am stubborn. So I would like drag that fiction out and it would be
Yeah.
like, and I'd be like,
Yeah.
no, no, come on, let's go play with this. And it was like,
Yeah.
and then I would pull the
No
book out on
momentum.
inspiration
Yeah.
and it was like, la, 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 la.
Yes.
So,
How do you go about it? Did you go about it first with your own reflections or research?
I
Yeah.
did. So for me, um, I, uh, I love Ryan Holiday. Do you love Ryan
Yeah,
Holiday?
of
Oh my
course.
God, I
Yeah.
freaking love Ryan
I can
Holiday.
totally see how you would love him, though. I feel
I
like
do.
you were destined for him when you were,
I
like, 20.
totally was. Little known fact, I actually worked with him for a year way,
Nice.
way back in the day when I was still in the corporate world and like this very side weird project. But in any case, he is a lovely human and I
Yeah.
love his work because so Ryan note cards, and normally I don't note card, but I decided I would start with that. So I started with the note cards and like the feeling of inspiration and moments in which I remembered being inspired. And then I just started like Google scholaring, like every study, like these two guys, Thrash and Elliott, have done most of the work from a psychological
Yes.
perspective on inspiration. Read a ton of their stuff, and then started piecing together what the book was.
Did it surprise you initially when you were looking at the research and what the elements are?
Some of it was surprising. One of the things that was surprising about the writing process is I am accustomed to, in fiction, the narrative will move underneath your feet.
Yes.
So you will think the storyline is going in a certain way and it like takes this like crazy right-hand turn. I didn't think that would happen with nonfiction and it did.
Yes.
So one of the things, there are these 3 precursor states to
Yeah.
inspiration, which I can talk about later. And I thought that it was like a stool, like a 3-legged stool. And then the more I realized it's not, it's actually like there are these steps that build on each other,
Yeah.
which was surprising to me.
Because you need one to open the door to the other.
Yeah, it's way more helpful to have the first than to have the second,
Yes.
to get to the third.
Yes.
Can they live independently? They can, but it's way, way more likely that the second or third one's gonna show up if the first or second's already in place.
And how did you come to that? Is that
So
through lived experience and talking to your clients alongside research?
and then looking at these I read lots and lots and lots of stories of people that people found inspiring, like starting with Viktor Frankl, right? Of course, I would
Yeah.
say, like, probably the most inspirational story that most people think of when they think of inspiration.
Yeah.
Um, and then really, like, living with that concept, and as I was writing the book, I was like, "Well, yeah, no, I don't think they don't seem like they're that independent." It's like this
Right.
aperture that starts really wide and then gets, like, narrower and narrower.
Yes. And maybe we should tell the people. This is the part of your research and the main theme of the book is that you can't force inspiration. You have to create the environment. Is the word environment that you use or
Yeah, I mean, environment totally works.
yeah.
Um, so from a psychological perspective,
Yeah.
inspiration is defined by these 3 states. So the first one is transcendence. It's like that feeling of like,
Yeah.
"La, la, la." Like, I have this picture that I keep at my desk. This is what, like, inspiration looks like to me.
It's so cool.
It's like this, there's this light and this openness to it. The second one, they call, like, evocation, which essentially means, yeah, it's not like Field of Dreams, like, you don't build it and it comes. You have
Yeah.
to set the stage for it, but you can't force it. You can't be like, "Paige, I'm gonna be inspired today, right now."
Yeah.
It doesn't work
Yeah.
that way. And then the third one is called approach motivation, which in regular people terms essentially means, like, what I call inspired to versus inspired by.
Yeah.
So, like, it makes you wanna go do something different.
Yes.
It makes you wanna go be somebody different.
Yeah.
So that is what inspiration in its psychological frame is.
And when you talk to leaders, do you think that they know that they're doing this, or do you find that inspirational leaders are doing it unconsciously?
Most are doing it unconsciously.
That's what I would think.
Yeah.
And then and also, by the way, for listeners, and I've done this before when I've had executive coaches or kind of conversations that go into this realm of business or that it's for me listening, it's also a family. I'm always inviting listeners to see their family life as an
Absolutely.
expression of leadership and teamwork. And so I imagine for people running families or running teams or running groups or in organizations, when you bring consciousness to it, it elevates the whole thing because
Yeah.
inspiration matters. I mean, on one side, it's like, well, maybe it doesn't matter because it's this thing that comes to us and we can't push for it, but it really is important. Can you talk about that a little bit? How essential it is to
Yeah. I will, frame it in a
yeah,
study that Bain& and Company did, a few years ago that measured exactly this. So, they looked at employees and they kinda created like a Maslow's hierarchy
yes,
with, satisfied on the bottom, and these are people that, like, felt safe in their job and everything
yeah,
was good, and then engaged employees who felt like they had the tools they needed to be able to do
yeah,
what they needed to do, and then inspired employees up at the top. And the way that they described it is, if a wall went up at work, what would each of these employees do? And so what they found with satisfied employees is, like, they would stand around kinda talking about the wall and, like, problem solving, right?
yeah.
And, the engaged employees would, like, make a plan to, like, get through the wall, and an inspired employee will just, like, run through it. They're
I
just gonna,
love
like, run right
that.
through the
I
yeah.
love it. Yeah.
So, in real terms, what does that look like? It
Yeah.
looks like 250 times the level of productivity,
Wow.
when somebody is inspired by, like, the company's mission and values and also the leadership team, like, there's alignment there.
Yeah.
Um, so that starts at the very beginning with employees because if they like, it's a good hiring practice because if there's not, like, a shared sense of vision or purpose, you're never really gonna be able to inspire them,
Right.
you
Right.
know? You might get them like, excited a little bit, but, like, that level of, like, "I'm running through the freaking wall."
Yes.
So it's important that we're looking for that.
Yeah. I work with a lot of, fledgling businesses,
Yeah.
and I find that even when you say to your 1 or 2 employees that you don't know exactly what the vision looks like, that
Mhm.
can be inspiring. You know, so it's, like,
Absolutely.
revealing because I think some people are like, "It has to be airtight," or, "I have to," and it gets so big, and it's like, no, when you join in a group, it's
Mm.
evolving, but to
Yeah,
language that, you know, and
absolutely.
invite people into that process with you, I think can be very, bonding. It's like getting to the top of the triangle, getting to inspiration.
Yeah, I think I have a group of small business owners, and there's this misnomer that, like, you have to, like I tell them, like, I don't know about for you, but for many people in that group, like, financials are, like, very overwhelming,
Oh,
right?
yeah, for sure.
And they look at other people in the group, and there's a, wealth manager in the group, there's, someone that runs a fractional CFO firm, right? So there are people in the room that have this, like, strong financial acumen, and the other members will just get, like, kind of frustrated, and I was like, "Do you think that they came out of the womb, like,
Yeah.
knowing what P&L was?" Like, do you think that that's true? Like, they walked around when they were a toddler, like, "Hey, mom, like, look at the expenses." Like, they learned it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you're gonna learn how to do a mission and a vision and a value, and you're gonna learn financials, and, like, no one knew it from
Yes.
we don't like, it's cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I find with leaders, they're so good at giving grace to other people, and
Yeah.
they're horrible at giving grace to themselves.
Yes.
Like,
Absolutely.
they can give grace out "Oh, yeah, and we're gonna la, la, la," and then it comes to themselves, and they're like, "La, la, la, la," and like,
Yeah.
no, let's not."
Yeah. And it doesn't when you get into yourself like that, when you lay into yourself with that inner critic, it just completely robs you of inspiration because 'cause you're in
It
the
does.
weeds. And it
It
robs
does.
you of motivation. You know, will you talk
Absolutely.
about how those 2 are linked? Because I think sometimes we get those confused and we don't see how much they need to partner with each other.
They do. Um, I in the book, I call them the Wonder you remember the Wonder Twins?
Yeah.
"Wonder Twins,
Yeah.
activate,
That's a
form
good
love."
that's a good title for the 2 of them, inspiration and
That's all it
motivation.
is.
Yeah.
My brother was totally busting me. He was like, "Were they really effective?" Like, he was a pail of water. Like, "Really?" And I was like, "Well, it's the analogy. Go with
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, like motivation, the easiest way that I describe motivation and inspiration is the pull and motivation is the push.
Yeah.
So, in a moment in which a team has lost sight of like the why, that is when you need inspiration, is when you need the pull.
Yeah.
When they're pretty clear on what the why and they can see the top of the mountain, but they're like stuck in the mud, that's when you need some motivation. That's when you need a little bit of push,
Yeah.
right? But they work in tandem because we know by definition, inspiration is fleeting.
Yeah.
Like, you're gonna get it's why so many like, I call it sparking greatness. It is, it's a spark, it's a lightning bolt, it's a firework, like, it's this, like, beautiful flash where everything you get this level of clarity and you're like, "Oh, okay." I think it's a connection to your higher self and, like, your higher purpose, like, you get these flashes of it. And then you need the motivation to, like once you've seen it and the sky goes dark again, motivation is what lights you up to help get you back to what you saw.
Yes. Is there a way for us to get more, um, touch points with inspiration?
Yeah, yes. Um, so I mentioned before there are these 3 precursor
Yeah.
states, and they are, spaciousness, and that is mental, physical, emotional, right?
Yeah.
So Like when you go to a conference or a retreat and you're like, "Oh my gosh, I got all these great ideas. I'm so inspired." Well, part of that is because you've created spaciousness in almost every sense of the word from your normal world,
Yes.
right? So you are okay that you're not replying to texts or emails or your phone is on silent and your kids know like, hey, mom's not available right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Physically, normally you're in a different place, right? You're not at your house, you're at a retreat center, or you're at a conference center, you're at a hotel, whatever. And you have given yourself permission to have spaciousness from your world. You're like, well, I'm at this conference. Well, I'm
Yeah.
at this retreat. I'm at this training. So the first one is kind of creating the sense of spaciousness. The second one is stillness. So once we have the spaciousness, the stillness isn't necessarily physical,
Yeah.
it's mental, right? So some people can get very still by running or
Yes.
gardening or playing guitar or doing a jigsaw puzzle or crafting
Yeah.
or right. It's like those moments are when you lose track of time, and the best activities to get stillness are the ones that you're doing for being sake and not for doing sake.
Yes.
So reading, right? Like if I'm reading something because I want to learn and I'm underlining and I'm taking notes, I'm reading with the purpose of learning.
Yeah.
But if I'm reading just to like lose myself, then I'm reading for the being state of that.
Yeah.
And that's where we are able to turn off our inner critic or the all of the processes and like narrow the 18 lanes of highway information in our brains, like, down to, like, 2.
Yeah. Yes.
And then the third one is self-forgetfulness, and that is when we take that spotlight that we have trained on ourselves 90% of the time,
Yes.
not in an ego way, but it's like what we were talking about earlier this morning before we hit record, like, "Oh my gosh, it's so crazy running like, here are the 10 more things that I need to do
Yeah.
today," right?
Yeah.
And swinging that spotlight out.
Yes.
So, self-forgetfulness we have most often in, like, community. And
Yeah.
community can be, like, a group of CEOs or friends or, like, getting together for a reunion with your girls,
Yeah.
or it can be a concert, or it can
Yeah.
be a 12-step program, or it can be a writing group or a gardening group or an HO I mean, there are, like, all these
Yeah.
different ways the community shows up. And that can be a really good way to, like, kick in the self-forgetfulness.
Yeah. That one was really intriguing to me when you wrote about that, and it made
Yeah.
me pause and think where I get self-forgetfulness, the
Yeah.
experience of it.
Uh-huh.
And I loved how you brought up community because I think it's connection, because then I always say the biggest energy wins, which is not my saying. My therapist taught me this, my beloved therapist Greg years ago. And it's one of those tenets, it comes up
Mhm.
in all of the work that we do. Um, but I return to it often. And when the biggest energy is about connection, then you're set up to forget yourself because you're not
Absolutely.
so self-conscious. And
Yeah.
and I'll do it sometimes walking into a new place or a dinner party where I don't know everybody, or if I'm used to going places with my husband Boyd and maybe I'm going somewhere without him. I recently went to a
Mhm.
wedding without him.
Mhm.
He was out of town, and it's the first time I've gone to a wedding solo, maybe ever, because when we were younger, we knew the people getting married, and
Absolutely.
this is one of my neighbors, the daughter of my next door neighbor getting married, and I love this family, but I really
Mhm.
don't know their extended family, and I don't know their extended friend group. I just know them,
Mhm.
and I wanted to see the bride, and I had to really talk myself into connecting, like,
Mhm.
deciding when I walked into that reception I am here for connecting with the bride's friends, the mother of the bride, the father of the bride, who is important to them, and
Mhm.
get out of my head.
Yeah.
And there were moments I was able to do that, and then there were other moments where I was self-conscious, but it has to be intentional, and I find that that intention to connect is the portal to being able to let
Mhm.
yourself just, "Oh, I can relax now. I'm not thinking about if I'm wearing the right thing or if I'm saying the right thing," and it's such
Absolutely.
a liberating feeling. It's so
Yeah.
relaxing.
It is. It's so I mean, I think we don't realize how often we're in our heads and, like, listening to the mental chatter or
Yeah,
thinking about, I have these things or to your point, like going to a wedding and being like, "I don't know anybody here," and
yeah,
I'm wondering, if I'm wearing the right thing, if I'm too dressy, if I'm not dressy enough, or whatever else. And it's so liberating to get like, it's like a little bit of a vacation from yourself, you know?
Yes.
You're like, hey, I'm going on vacation away from you. Right.
Yeah.
And it's love.
Did that one surprise you when that came up in your research?
Yes and no.
Yeah.
Like I never, it's the one um state of being that people are the most curious about.
Yes,
Right.
I found myself I'm curious right now in this moment, but I've even in
Absolutely.
reading about it, I was curious because I
Yeah.
would have never predicted that, or I don't even think of that term. I don't
Totally.
even think
Yeah.
of a self-forgetting as a term. I think of, like, self-honoring or,
Mhm.
self-centered in a good way. I often think of higher self-centered, like, you
Mhm.
need to center on what is best for you in the bigger way. But I
Mhm.
don't think of self-forgetting, so it's a really intriguing phrase even.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's not mine.
Yeah.
It's not mine. It
Yeah.
is, like, one of the, when we talk about Thrash and Elliott, it's one of the things that they talk about.
Yeah.
But it's just so when I think about the moments in which I have inspiration, like, before, when I was in that conversation with Brenton and then having that, like, the fiction project that I was working on
Yeah.
before, I was totally engrossed. Do you ever listen to Krista Tippett on
Yes,
Being?
I love her.
Oh my gosh, she whatever. And so this woman had introduced her. I had
Yeah.
actually through Brenton. I mean, is he the source of all inspiration? Just kidding.
Hi,
Um,
Brenton. Yes, he is for this
oh,
project, for
this
sure.
project. So he had introduced me to this woman, and I had had coffee with her, and she had talked about On Being, and she was like, "I think you would really
Yeah.
like this podcast." So I am driving home listening to that podcast, and I was like, and she mentions this quote from Zen, and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance,
Okay.
and she mentioned the questions that fail us, and I literally pulled off the road. I was like,
Wow.
"Oh my gosh." Or when I'm on the board of a, nonprofit that supports transitioning homeless,
Yeah.
and I have deep moments of inspiration
Yeah.
when I am at a board meeting or we're hearing a story of a family because that organization essentially, fully furnishes, a home for a family or a veteran
Yeah.
or somebody that's recently transitioned from homelessness because often when they get a place to live, they have enough money to cover rent and utilities and food, but they don't have any extra to, like,
Yeah.
furnish. So we come in and it's, like, the best kind of, like,
Yeah.
DIY, right?
Totally.
And I think about our clients there, and it's wildly inspiring. Or I'll be at a concert, like, I know you and I, like, from our 18-year-old roots, right?
Yeah.
Like, I love the music, and, I get wildly inspired there.
Yes.
I get inspired by trees. I know it
Yeah.
sounds
Oh,
ridiculous.
I get so inspired by trees. I'm sure
I
I've talked
love
about
them.
that on this podcast. For my clients, 100%. It's like, "I know what you're gonna tell me. Go put my hands on a tree
Yeah,
or go sit next to a tree." I think trees are absolutely amazing. I mean, we
totally.
we know this now that we're studying
Yes,
them more. I mean, they're
yes.
really incredible. There's a whole other thing about them that's peaceful and inviting, and the fact that their roots and then their roots are connected and they all thrive together. I mean, they're really
Mhm.
a model for what it could be for us getting through all the seasons, you know?
I agree. I tell people, trees are my people. I do. I feel like
Yes,
they're my people, right? Like
yes.
trees are my people. And it's hysterical because I live in Southern California where I'm like, our trees are so lame.
Yeah.
But um yeah, I think that this self-forgetfulness like really allows us to detach and be like open
Yes.
to new ideas. And um, there's this big five uh, personality trait
Uh-huh.
assessment that's often used in psychology. And one of the big five is openness. And then it's
Yeah.
split into all these subcategories. And so one of the traits that's highly correlated with inspiration is openness to aesthetics.
Oh,
So
that's so
people that
interesting. Yeah.
are like, love art, love music, like, love
Yeah.
nature or beauty, because we get this sense of awe, right,
Yeah.
from those things, and we, again, can flip the spotlight is not flipping out necessarily to a person or a group,
Yeah.
but to this thing outside ourselves that we can appreciate,
Yeah.
is another really great way for self-forgetfulness. And the other thing that I found, that as a very high introvert, they were like, extroverts are more likely to be inspired. And I was like, boo, I
Yeah.
don't think that's
Is that
true.
true? It doesn't
Yeah.
feel true to me.
If we are to follow the studies and the work that has been done, in theory, yes. I am going to like plant my flag as the high introvert who feels wildly inspired on the regular, that I don't think that's true.
Yes.
But the data does not support my view.
Your experience either. Yes. Yes. I thought it was so interesting when you were talking about the man who ran the 4-minute mile. Roger, is it
Roger Bannister.
Bannister? Okay.
Mhm.
That made me think what inspires you is so personal that then it becomes a channel for self-knowledge, which I mean, that's what this whole podcast is about, bringing people on who have learned something about themselves and decided that they can live more aligned to their values. And I think
Mhm.
that's such a huge part of fulfillment in every way. So to then take inventory of your inspiration and the things that don't inspire you, but inspire someone else, like your partner or your colleague or your friend. It's like, get curious about that because the man running the 4-minute mile does not inspire me. But I love that he
Really?
broke the record, but I don't have like physical goals like that. But I remember when Brene Brown did her power of vulnerability talk, and I had kids in 2009. So I think it was like
Mhm.
right around there. Maybe my babies were like a year. So I was really in flux with my career.
Yeah.
And I just remember listening to that TED Talk and having this whole mind opening of like, "Oh, I can teach from storytelling." And she's from Texas and she's relatable and she has that quality of, being very grounded in her
Mhm.
research and
Mhm.
really loving academia and knowledge, but also just human and willing to be funny and just willing to tell her truth, and that
Yeah.
to me at the time was like, "Oh, I could do it that way." Like, if I went on my own and did
Yeah.
coaching and helping people, I can do it through storytelling and relating my own personal stories to help someone
Mm.
else
Mhm.
in theirs, but I really did not have a model for that before her
Mhm.
work, and I know her work has shifted now, and she's more in the leadership space and consulting, but at that moment, it's like mentioning your own therapy experience and mentioning, like, arguments with your husband over closing the refrigerator door. I'm like, "Oh, I can see now." And
Yeah.
and that is inspiration. When you were talking about it in the book, the root of it being connected to breath and breathing life into something,
Oh,
that
that's so
that is
beautiful.
what I felt in that moment. I mean, I've had a lot of moments, but as it relates to
Mhm.
work, and I know a lot of these listeners will know Brené Brown's work in that way. It's
Mhm.
like, "Oh, that resonates with me." My husband could watch that TED Talk and not, like, fall asleep during it. I mean, not he respects Brené Brown because now he knows her because now I've made him know her, but he's gonna
Boy, you
be
must know Brene.
yeah, yeah, he is, like, weeping over Radiohead's album. When Radiohead, what was that big album? My
Uh,
memory.
I can see the cover of it.
Same, same. It'll come to us, but I remember
Oh,
when he
girl.
first listened to the cut of
Mhm.
that album.
Mhm.
He was so inspired. He was just
Mhm.
on another his mind was completely, captivated in a way. So, I love that exercise for people, taking inventory of really what blows your mind, and in a specific way, let that connect you to what you value.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, like, that description of you watching Brené's TED Talk is exactly that is a moment of inspiration, right? Like, the world falls away. You have complete
Yeah.
clarity of, like, "Oh my gosh, I can be this," right? It's
Yes.
like why Roger Bannister is inspiring for people that are marathoners or engaging in some sort of physical challenge. Like, it's that moment where, um, hope becomes faith.
Yeah.
Like, "Oh, I wonder," and then you're like, "Oh my gosh, I can do that."
Yeah.
Like, I could do that.
Yeah.
So it's like that connection with, like, this higher purpose for you. Like, Boyd, we know, is, like, this wildly talented musician, right? So it makes sense that in the moment of him listening to this album, that is, like,
Yeah.
opens up all this inspiration for him.
Yeah.
And we know like the deep work that you do with women and with leaders and business owners. Like it makes total sense that you have this moment with Brene.
Yeah. So good. So how do you support someone if they don't feel inspired? I mean, I'm sure this is a part of your work. Like, is it fear? Is it self-doubt? Talk to us about getting, the blocks, the barriers. What do you
Mhm.
find people up against to try to
Mhm.
get their minds to be open?
Mhm. If you were wondering
Yeah.
if someone writing a book on inspiration and motivation could become wildly uninspired and demotivated, the answer to that is yes.
Well, that's a
First,
good take us there. Take us to you're
woo!
midway through.
Oh my god,
Act
like
2,
curtain
it's always the
crawling.
hardest. Yeah.
Huzzah.
Yeah.
Uh, I think where I see so many people, like most of my CEOs and executives, are in overwhelm mostly,
Okay.
or a lot of them got to burnout post
Yeah.
like just coming out of the pandemic because they had been holding an organization and holding it down at home and like
Yeah.
holding all the things for all the people. And so, overwhelm is like I've got like a coffee, I've got the dog leash, I've got keys, I've got groceries, and I am like careening around
Yeah.
on the sidewalk. And like burnout is like I hit the pavement.
Yeah. And I don't care. That was a big distinction for me because I've experienced both of those.
Same.
That quality of apathy, I
Yeah.
have really felt that. Like, I do not care.
Yep.
And I think that's for people listening, that's a big difference between being overwhelmed with the amount on your plate, and stressed
Mhm.
out. And maybe when you're overwhelmed, you space out and scroll too much. But
Yeah.
there's still a part of you that wants to go back and do something. When you're burnout, you're like, I'm out.
All
Literally
done.
burn out.
Yeah.
Bye. Bye.
Yeah. It's
Okay,
true.
so you're on the phone, you're noticing they're in overwhelm. This is at the
Mhm.
time you're getting into inspiration, you're post-COVID. How do you help them back into a state of openness?
So it's about discipline in this kind of really weird way.
Yeah,
So the first thing that I notice is we have to I know I mentioned this earlier in terms of the steps, like closing the aperture, but we have to do it with their time.
okay.
So what happens when you're in overwhelm or burnout is you are so open, you are so boundaryless, like you have so many inputs coming in.
Yes.
So whether it's email, assuming you are the lucky person that has one email address. I mean,
Yeah,
like who even has that, right? We've got all the forms of social media. We've got all the forms of news. We've got text messages and WhatsApp and Slack and
yeah.
Microsoft Teams. And then, so we have all of these inputs that, um, I always feel so old saying this, like, we didn't used to have.
I
Like,
know, I
well,
feel the same way, but I think
but
without
it's
that
true.
context, it's true, and I think we don't give ourselves enough grace. Like, it's
And it's true.
real. It's like what you said earlier, that the voice, the inner critic, and how leaders are full of grace for other people, but not necessarily, full of forgiveness for themselves. And I think
Yeah.
it's because of what you just said, the context of information and all the open channels.
Mhm.
It's totally new territory, and we act like we should know how to do this.
Totally.
It's
I totally
and
agree.
it's so weird to observe. I was just traveling for the past 24 hours before I'm
Mhm.
speaking to you. Like, to look at people, like, scrolling on their phones in the airport, like, video after video, like, just to
Mhm.
observe it, and then I go sit down at my gate, and what do?
Yeah.
I scroll, and I'm, like, sending cat videos to a friend from high school who I love. I love doing that. But, I mean, it's just a weird, like, you're in it. It's like information. Do I really need to be looking at all of these opinions and videos? And I don't even know what it is. Like, what am I even doing?
Totally.
Anyway,
Totally.
so yes,
It's
I
like
understand that. Yes, the channels are open. I'm with you.
channels are open. Your nervous
Yeah.
system is blown,
Yeah.
blown. Like you are so fried, you are crispy, right?
Yeah.
And so it starts with having like some discipline around do you need notifications on for that?
Right.
Um like, what can you cut out from an input perspective?
Yeah.
Part of it is what, I had a member who taught me this phrase a few years ago that I love. It's popping your helium hand.
Okay. Tell us more.
So, like, she tells this story. So she is the CEO of, her company that she runs with her husband, and she does a lot of volunteer work. She's got kids that have sports, right? So many people can think about that. And so she's on several industry boards. So she's doing work in the industry. She's running a company. She's a very active mom. She's active in the community, and she's at the PTA meeting.
Yeah.
And they're talking about the gala for that year.
Yeah.
And the executive director is like, "So, we're looking for somebody to take charge of the gala this year." And I have had the conversation with this member about how overwhelmed and burnt out she is. And she was like, "Wouldn't you know it? Out of the corner of my eye, I see this hand go up. And then I realize, like this. And then I realize it's my freaking hand. It's
Yeah.
my hand." And like our hands just like float up in these moments because we're used to being the helper and we're used,
Yes.
right? Like I'll lean in, I'll
Yeah.
help out. Oh, does somebody need help? Like I can do that. And I'm not saying don't help people,
Yes.
but if you can take a moment before, if you can like pop the helium hand or
Yes.
ask yourself a question, if you are the person that like signs up for all the things,
Yeah.
whether it's from FOMO, like I'm not even going to get into the why. That'll take us a whole nother hour.
Right.
But let's say you're the person that signs up for the things. If you can just ask yourself or commit to yourself that if somebody asks you for something, you give yourself, hey, I so appreciate the ask. I need to go back and take a look to see if that fits based on what's going on for me.
Yeah.
And at least give yourself time.
Yes.
You can at least give yourself time. I'm going to be so much happier than if you're like, oh, I can do it. Like,
Yeah. Even writing it down on a card, like
yeah.
having the language for no. I had a guest on named Amy Wilson who wrote a collection of essays called Happy to Help.
Uh-huh.
She's episode 1, season 2, and she talks about that moment that you just described with your client, the helium hand, and she talks about the discomfort. So it's what it made me think of is popping the helium hand is uncomfortable. And
I
so
was
we have to really breathe through that moment and live, like, get
Mhm,
to the other side of it.
mhm.
Anyway, I think, yeah,
Absolutely.
it's a powerful moment. I think a lot
It
of
is.
people struggle with that moment. I
Yeah.
struggle with, wanting to be so convenient for people. "Oh,
Yeah.
I'll move this appointment. I can fit this in." I like, it and to the point where it doesn't even occur to me
Mhm.
to push something. I just had I can't remember what kind of doctor's appointment it was. I'm drawing a blank, but
Mm.
I've done a lot of doctor's appointments at the end of the year just to like
Mhm.
be ready for, a new year. And we're recording at the end of a year. And it did not occur to me until I was so stacked that day that the only thing I could move was the doctor's visit. And I
Mhm.
called the office and I had to breathe through the receptionist, like answering the phone. And I was so worried that it was going to be inconvenient or she was going to have a bad attitude about it. And she was like, "Sure. What day do you
Yeah.
need?" But it didn't occur to me until it was like the last resort option. It's
Mhm.
just knowing yourself. And I think as I get older, I really realize how much I struggle with that moment of like, this might be inconvenient or uncomfortable for you, but it's what I need. And I
Mhm.
think the difference is that I never even knew what I needed before. At least now I'm noticing, oh, I think I need something and I'm making it more convenient for you. But
Mhm.
that's years of not even knowing what I needed. Does that track? Does
Absolutely.
that make sense?
It
Yeah.
totally does. Like, I
Yeah.
just had a one-on-one yesterday with a member whose, CEO is getting ready to sell the business, and for tax purposes and, like, the look of the
Yeah.
P&L, wanted to wait to pay out this person's bonus and was like, "Hey, are you okay with that?" And the person was like, "Yeah, I'm fine with it." And then in our one-to-one, the member was like, "We had a lot of, like, expenses come up last minute that we weren't anticipating, and it might impact our holidays because we just had this outflow of cash, and it all kinda hit at once. It was this tsunami." And then the question was, like, "Well, why wouldn't you go back to the CEO and be like, 'Hey, I don't need all of the bonus, but I actually do need part of it.'" And that hadn't
Yeah.
even he was just like, "What?" And I was like, "Go ask for your money, man." Like,
Yeah.
you are doing that person that money is owed to you in theory, right? Like,
Yeah.
not getting weird about it, but, like, it's something that would be paid in this year,
Yeah.
right? And so you are doing a favor by saying, "I don't have any issue delaying." So instead of saying, "I don't have any issue, let my family be put out for the holidays," you would just go back and say, "Hey, I miscalculated. I
Yeah.
actually do need part of that. And you don't have to pay me all of it, right? I just need this amount in order to be able to, make this easy."
Yes.
But, like, we are so and he like, one of the things of my goals for him in 2026 is he is literally the bottom rung of the ladder,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Can we just move you up a few?"
Yes.
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 And I think the thing, Paige, like, so many people think, like, when I talk about spaciousness, the thing that's irritating about it is, like, it has to be a habit.
Tell me
Um,
more about that.
so I call it, like, flexible discipline.
Okay.
So I don't need you to spend like, we think like, "Oh, we're just gonna do this retreat and we're gonna recover," and then we go back to our normal lives and we're, like, wildly overprogrammed and we don't have any space and our helium hand is active and we're doing all of these things. But if we can build in, like, spaciousness and it doesn't need to be, like, an hour a day. Like, if I can get you to like, this member in particular loves archery. Like, if I can get you out on an archery range, like, on a break,
Yeah.
or, like, if you love reading and I can get you 15 minutes in a chair of reading, where we
Yeah.
just start to create, like, this spaciousness and you feeling okay. Because what happens is when we get overblown, like, we think that we're, like, doing this great thing, and we show up crappy.
Yeah. Yeah.
We do. And so all this help and love, and we're doing it for all these other people, and we're not showing up.
Yeah.
'Cause we're empty. So, like, we feel like it's this, like, hugely selfish thing, and it's not.
Yeah.
Like, you're gonna show up better
Yes.
if you can take the time.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be like, you don't have to be on the archery range every day. Like, I have another member that's, like, a huge swimmer. I'm like, "I don't need you in the pool every day. I need you maybe to, like, walk for an extra 10 minutes this day,
Yeah.
and I want you to do a jigsaw." Like, so the flexible discipline is the discipline of getting something on the books daily or every other day.
Mhm.
And then it can look like however you want it to look like, and it's not gonna look the same every day, and it doesn't have to be at the same time, and it doesn't have to be the same thing.
Yeah.
But it's like this practice around creating spaciousness so that as that gets bigger, you can drop into stillness, and the moments of inspiration that you are desperately looking for will come.
Yeah.
Like shoeless Joe Jackson will walk out of the cornfield,
Yeah.
but if you don't build the field, he's, like, wandering around in the corn.
Yeah.
Like, give him a field.
Yeah. And that's what you were talking about earlier. With once you have spaciousness, you have stillness.
Mhm. So
Yeah.
it is so interesting, like the just like giving ourselves permission for that. Because the other thing is, and I tell my members this all the time, as you move up in an organization, the level of stillness time that you will need to tackle the challenges that are in front of you
Yeah.
is going to increase,
Yeah.
because you need to access that level of thinking.
Yes.
Like, do you know Doris Kearns Goodwin? Are you familiar with her?
I don't think so.
She, is a historian. She wrote a Pulitzer, winning book called Team of Rivals, but that is not the one I'm talking about. It's
Okay.
brilliant. It's about Lincoln and his cabinet, whatever. So she wrote this other book
Yeah.
called, Leadership in Turbulent Times, and she compared the presidencies of both Roosevelt's, Lincoln, and, LBJ. She
Okay.
was a huge I think she actually even worked for LBJ, so he's in all the books. And basically what she said and what she pointed out in these books is all 4 of those presidents had, like, crazy stuff going on, right,
Yeah.
during their presidency. And all 4 of them were very clear on the fact that they needed time away
Yes.
in order to be able to access their highest and best thinking to then bring it back to very turbulent times and situations. So,
Yeah.
like Teddy Roosevelt's, like, cruising around on his horse in the Badlands, right? Like, these are where, LBJ is off on his ranch in Texas. So these are we see these, like, figureheads, and even they understood that we need spaciousness and stuff.
Yes. Yeah.
So, like, if they can do it and they were, like, leaders of the free world, like,
We can do it too.
we can do it.
Yeah.
Right.
I think about that so much in relationship, helping people in their marriage or a relationship with a boss or a relationship with a teenager.
Mhm.
you have to take time away to get your thoughts clear. I mean, I think sometimes we jump into it and it's like what you were saying, motivation. You know, you're like motivated because I've got to say this thing and I have to prove that my side is right and they have to understand me. Or in the parenting domain, it's like I've got to draw the line and I have to tell the kid and I have to instill this value in the kid. And sometimes the answer is to go journal, you know, and
Yeah,
figure out what your point of view is and just be with it because oftentimes the relationship needs space. Instead of you
totally.
jumping into it, it needs to evolve, it needs to change, and that's a discipline, and I think that's a we have to have compassion for ourselves in that moment because it's more comfortable to maybe be in action, and
Mhm,
it's less comfortable to be trusting the whole
mhm,
scenario, trust the whole
mhm.
situation. Take the space, get still, and give it a little breathing room, literally breathe life into
Mhm.
it, and then you get inspired by your own understanding of something.
Yeah. I think that's totally true. We talk a lot about the fact there are very few
Mhm.
conversations that must be had in
Yeah.
one sitting. If
Oh,
somebody is
right.
dying,
Yes.
then that would be an example where, like, you have to say what you need to say, all of it right
Yeah.
now, right? Because that person is in the process of transitioning. But so often we get caught up exactly in that and like, "Oh my gosh, I have to say it right now, and this is the only chance that I'm gonna be able to," like, that's just not true.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, the tough conversations, the difficult conversations, like, we did like, it's a process, like, we can work through them a little bit at a time.
Yes. I love how you talked
Right.
about resilience towards the end when you were talking about the aspects of inspirational stories.
Mhm.
Resilience isn't a single moment, it's a pattern and a posture.
Mhm.
I think that's so key with what you're describing. You don't have to do it in one conversation. You don't have to do the heavy lift heroic moment.
Mhm.
It's small moments of showing up.
Mhm. 'Cause it's like when we think of resilience, it isn't it like, of course, like, oh my gosh, the woman that lifts the car off of her baby.
Yeah.
But when we think about things that really inspire us, it's like the people that come back over and over and over and over again, right?
Yes.
Whether it's like on social media and you see like an influencer who's like losing weight, right? And they're
Yeah.
working really hard to get a healthy body or a healthy lifestyle for them. And you see them over and over, like every day, the people that are like, here's my workout today, here's my workout today. Like that is wild. That is dedication. It's
Yeah.
resilience.
Yeah. I loved that. I loved that idea. And there's so much unnoticed, unspoken, unacknowledged work in just
Mhm.
being a human being.
Oh my gosh.
I
Yeah. Right.
mean, everything, just making eye contact with a person, you know, at the coffee shop or holding the
Yeah.
door for someone, you know, it just, we think the world is falling apart, but then you have all these moments. People are doing moments like that all day long, and you have no idea if their body's in pain. You have no idea if someone they love is dying. You have no idea if they can make their payroll or their car payment, and they're
Mhm.
holding the door for you. You know,
Yeah.
it's beautiful to, in fact, I get inspired by that. I really get inspired
Yeah.
by interactions with strangers
Mhm.
and humanity, like
Mhm.
the grace and the love and kindness that just humans show to one another. I could go a whole day and just observe that.
Yeah.
Will you tell us if writing this book has connected you more deeply to inspiration? Are you finding that you're walking your talk and at least you know what to do, I guess, when you hit your blocks, create
I
space, get
do.
still. I know you journal. We both are big journalers.
Mhm. I'm a sporadic journaler.
Yeah.
The thing so it's really funny, and I told him this was gonna happen. So I was on a walk with my neighbor Dave this morning and
Yeah.
his dog White, and we were talking about I'd recently had a conversation with a friend. So this week is the week for listeners, it's the week before the holidays. I'm like many of us, we are sprinting into
Yes.
like slide into the holidays, right?
Yeah.
So I had a friend who was telling me, like, "You're really overprogrammed and you're so busy and la 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 la." And I'm feeling overwhelmed and all this other stuff. And like I was talking to Dave, like it's not I know it was came from a place of love, but in a moment when you're in overwhelm and somebody's like, "You're in overwhelm," I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, I got you," right? And he's like, "Well, isn't it funny?" Because he was like, "Well, are you overwhelmed throughout the year?" And I was like, "Well, this year it was like my life plus book, so a little bit, and he's like, "Isn't it so funny that you wrote this book about, like, people finding spaciousness,
Yeah.
and, like, what have you done for yourself this week?" And I was like, "Oh, Dave."
That's always
Oh,
how it is, though. That's
bro.
always how it is.
Totally.
Yeah.
So it is, it's about, one of the beautiful things, I don't know if you find this too, about being a coach is that the mirror is constantly
One
held up for you.
100%. I think about this all the time. Like, the people with whom you are working, whether it's one-on-one, in a group,
Yep.
anything, the podcast guests, they say something, and you're like, "Oh,
Mhm.
that is exactly what I'm dealing with right now." It's
Mhm.
so crazy and beautiful.
Mhm. It is, and,
Yeah,
like, humbling also.
and
You're like,
humbling.
"Ooh, yeah, I
Yeah,
see that in me."
yeah,
So it is, like, I tell my members all the time, like, I, to a person, have not yet had a member in December. I mean, I will do, I don't know, upward, like, 35,
yeah,
36 one-on-ones this month. Yet, male, female, old, young, big company, little what does not matter. Everybody is like, "Ah, yeah," right? And so I
yeah,
say, like, "Where are we creating space?" And then yet, it takes Dave being like, "So D, where's your space?" I'm like,
yeah.
"Yeah, damn it, Jim." So,
Flexible discipline.
flexible
You
discipline,
got
that's right.
here, we've both been this hour's been so lovely. We got
It's been
here,
amazing.
we're in our home offices. I love our
We're
home
obviously we're
offices.
drinking
I
beverages.
love it. So do you think you would take inspiration on a desert island if you only could take 3 virtues? I was thinking about that when I put your book down. I was like, I think I would take inspiration now.
100%.
And I think I would take courage, which is another thing that you talk about towards the end of the book, because courage is like the doorway to so many other if you have courage, then you can be patient. If you have courage, then you could be resourceful. But
Yeah,
I was like, "Oh, point taken." Like, sparking greatness, it really does make the case for inspiration in a way that's like, we can't live without it. It's that important.
it is really important. I, had the opportunity when I was looking for blurbs for the book, I was reaching out to a lot of different people.
Yeah.
And so I had sent an email to Adam Grant and was like, "Why do you think people aren't covering this? And like, what are your thoughts?" And he was just like, from a business perspective and a leadership perspective, which is the lens through which I wrote the book, he was like, inspiration's kind of squishy, right?
Yeah.
And so it's hard to be able to convince a lot of like really, left brain people,
Yeah.
like, let's talk about inspiration. And but it's so powerful,
Yes.
and it's very real, and yeah, it's just like it lights us up, and it just, you can live a completely uninspired life and live a really beautiful one,
Yeah.
but so much more beautiful.
So tell me one of the big gifts of this book. What has it brought into your life? Something that either you expected or surprised you?
So writing a book is like a labor of love,
Yeah.
right? And especially if you're, like, self-publishing or hybrid publishing, it's not like a financial, right? I do it, and I think if you talk to most authors, they would say the same, like, "I'm doing it for the impact."
Yeah.
And so here's the crazy thing, like, you write this book, and it hatches, right? And you're like, "Oh,
Yeah.
your hatched are so beautiful. Oh, I love you so much," right? And then it's time, once it hatches, to leave the nest.
Yeah.
And so what happens next? You're like, "Oh, like, when it leaves the nest, what's gonna happen? Like, are you gonna, like, flail on the ground, like, and just,
Yeah.
like, flop around down there, or are you gonna fly?" And I've had a lot of moments where the book is flying.
Yeah.
And what that looks like is, like, my freshman year college roommate
Yeah.
sent me an email, based on, because I have a newsletter that goes out every week, based on a newsletter, and was like, "This was amazing. It helped me so much."
Yeah.
Right? Or I got a text message yesterday from somebody who was like, "I'm really loving this specific part of the book," or, "This exercise really helped
Yes.
me." So it's been like, I wrote it because I want it to help, like,
Yes.
life isn't like, nobody ever said life was gonna be easy,
Yeah.
but it's really beautiful, and it's made way more beautiful with inspiration. And so like if I can bring more inspiration and more
Yeah.
beauty to people and that openness to it and like those connections and those ahas and those blocks that were there that all of a sudden are cleared, even if it's just for a moment, it's like that's why that's why we do it.
Yes.
And so I'm getting the feedback like from all these different corners of my life of people that this book is helping. And it is like wildly inspiring for me.
Yes.
It's
So
like the best thing
good.
ever.
Yes.
Yeah, it's so it like, oh, it's like
Yeah.
one of the reasons I love coaching is like when you see the light bulb and people are like,
Yes.
"Oh,"
Yeah.
right? And I get like unsolicited light bulbs every week from people and I'm like, "Ah!"
Yeah.
It's the best thing ever. I was walking Rosie yesterday and the sun was just coming up and it was like hitting this tree full of like little birds and one kind of angry hummingbird.
Yeah.
But the way the light was hitting the leaves, it was,
Yeah.
like, so beautiful, and then when we're present and I'm working on a keynote separately, and I had, like, this, like in looking at the way the light was,
Yeah.
like, hitting the curl of this leaf, I was like, "Oh, like, this is what the title of that
Yeah.
keynote's gonna be." It was,
Yeah.
like, the perfect moment, but, like, I wasn't listening to a podcast, I wasn't listening to an audiobook, I wasn't on the phone, I wasn't, like
Yeah.
the joy of giving yourself the spaciousness to take the dog on a walk, and then the stillness when you're on the walk to, like, look up and be like, "Oh my gosh, this tree." And then these things just, like, come down, and
Yeah.
it's really amazing.
It's really inspiring. I love the feeling of inspiration. And after reading Sparking Greatness and having this time with Danielle, I love that I now understand inspiration can be intentional. We can all be intentional in our pursuit of inspiration and use it as the powerful gateway to purpose, clarity, and presence that it is. So here is our opportunity: spaciousness. Where can you create more space in your life? 10 minutes here or there. For me, it has a lot to do with putting away my phone and trying not to squeeze in a bunch of errands in between obligations. Stillness. How can you embrace stillness? Maybe in a way you haven't tried before. I know one of my habits I'm implementing this year is a more consistent meditation practice. I'm happy to meditate and I can drop in and settle for many minutes, but I don't do it every day. I'm curious about how I would feel if I did. And I'm not starting with 10 minutes a day. I'm starting with 2. And lastly, can you be more aware of the times you experience self-forgetfulness? We can't force self-forgetfulness, but noticing the conditions gives us the awareness, and we can put ourselves in the position to potentially experience that state. You know how you can eat something common like meat sauce or a hamburger or a slice of pizza, and sometimes, every now and then, it's remarkably more delicious? There's something about it that's unique. It's got a certain flavor. There's a secret ingredient. That's what I think inspiration is to our lives. It's a secret ingredient. If you add it to your everyday life, it makes you way more productive, more curious and creative, and much more deeply connected to purpose and perspective. It makes us more alive. I love that Danielle's book, Sparking Greatness, makes inspiration an ingredient that is not so secret. There's a way to invite it, cultivate it, and use it to live and lead fully. And that way is beautifully and clearly outlined for us. Thank you, Danielle, for bringing us this message. There are frameworks, tools, and practical exercises in this book that have really stuck with me and unlocked some much-needed motivation that I'm using in my everyday life now. Of course, I loved this time with you. It makes sense to me that you found success leading people to their presence and purpose because you bring presence and purpose to your own life. I'm inspired by you and your work, as are many others, and I'm grateful for your voice, your words, your creativity, and your big heart in this world. Thank you for meeting me and our listeners here, sharing your journey with us with such honesty and authenticity, and reminding us what is actually available when we notice the trees and walk the dog with our eyes up. You can find out more about Danielle in the show notes and order your copy of Sparking Greatness wherever books are sold. Okay, y'all, that's it for now. I'll meet you here again soon.
Thanks to each of you for being here and for listening. I'm so grateful we get to share life in this way. As always, full show notes are available at pagenolan.com/podcast. There you will find a full summary of the episode, timestamps, and key takeaways, and any resources mentioned in our conversation. If you enjoyed this episode, I'd love if you would leave me a rating and a review. You can do that by visiting pagenolan.com/love. Your reviews really do help people to discover the show. And if you know someone specifically who would enjoy this episode, I'm so grateful to have you all share I'll Meet You There with your friends. Lastly, if you have any questions or comments, or if you would like to share any feedback with me, please email to meetmethere@pagenolan.com. I would love to hear from you. Thank you to the team that makes this show possible. Podcast production and marketing by North Node Podcast Network. Music by Boyd McDonnell. Cover photography by Innes Casey. Okay, y'all, that's it for now. I'll meet you there again soon.